Hey y'all, welcome back. I hope you're all well. Thanks for joining me again. This week on the bench I have a Scott, Scott stereo receiver. It's a 330R. I picked this up at a local, out of a local ad, kind of like a Craigslist, well, Kijiji for Canada. And yeah, it was a good price, so I snapped it up. I couldn't resist. I love the HH Scotch gear. The last one I did, I think it was an R316 or something. I was really impressed with the build quality and the performance of that receiver. Although I think this one's a little bit newer than the 316 that I did before, but it's still nice. I think I like this one. It's got a nice, pretty sure these are faux wood. It's probably a laminate wood or a wood, composite wood that, yeah, it's just a particle board with the laminate sides. And it's got the nice aluminum face. It's not without its problems though. It's got a big nick here in the top, a couple of little nicks. It took a hit, and some of these toggle switches are all bent out of shape. Like this power switch is bent down, looks like somebody tried stepping on it. I hope those will straighten out. All the knobs are here, which is a good thing. Sometimes you get a receiver and the knobs aren't there, and that's just a down, lets you down. Tuning knob's kind of crunchy. You can hear that. For controls, power switch, 2 speakers, bass treble, volume, and balance hidden behind there. Contour is your loudness. It's got a high filter. And mode select, stereo mono, tape monitor, source monitor, and then your input selector has got AM, FM, phono auxiliary. This switch kind of feels funny too. And then your tuning knob. It's got a couple tuning meters. One's a center tuning and one's a signal strength, and then it's got the AM, FM band. Not much to it. On the back side we have a built-in antenna, which is good, and provisions for external antennas, input for phono auxiliary, 1 tape loop, and that comes in DIN as well as RCA jacks. Your speaker outputs, a couple speaker fuses. Where are these? These are 3 amp. That's a 3 amp. And another 3 amp. Look, fuses look original. That's good. It's a good sign. And 2 courtesy outlets. So he said it was just sitting on his shelf. I don't know if it was his or his father's or what, but he sold it to me. I bought it and don't know what's wrong with it. I'm assuming it works. He didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I don't know if he tested it or not, but we're going to test it right now. Let's get speakers hooked up and plug it in and see what we can get on this. There we go, speakers are hooked up. I'll load the camera so you get a better look at the front face of this thing. Let's switch it on. Here, power transformer. Okay, let's try FM. I got no sound. Oh, there we go. I guess that's on. That's unusual. But I only got the left channel. Okay.
Focuses on take the reef on a journey.
So it looks like we got some lights to change out in the meters. And we have 1 channel out. AM's working. FM is silent. Oh, it's unmuting, okay. Now we got our right channel. Got no stereo light.
I miss it. I want out.
So I got left channel and stereo and both channels are mono. So there's definitely something going on there with the tuner. One channel is out on the tuner.
To throw them.
Probably something wrong with the demultiplexer because I'm not getting any stereo beacon signals. Even the very, very strong, I'm not getting any stereo. That one's got the meters pegged. No stereo. Come back. So yeah, it's loaded with issues. Okay, so we got a good idea what we need to do. Lamps, we need to sort out that right channel. We need to sort out the FM stereo. So let's, and then we got some cleaning up to do and some cosmetics. Geez, that sounds terrible. Yeah, I gotta lubricate that. This is... Now I lost my AM. What is going on with this thing? Doesn't. Oh, there it goes. Okay, let's open it up. I'm trying to fight with this cover to get. I got the screws out the side, and it's stuck. Oh, stuck with something sticky. Okay. So here's the inside lid. It looks pretty clean. But there is something going on with spider webs. Let's have a look at the amp closely. Hey, so back here we got all the spider webs. It's still plugged in. I better unplug this. More spider webs here. Dust. Well, for the most part it looks untouched. I don't think anybody's worked on this. Here's the pilot lamps for the meters. They're both out. A little bit of extrusion here. Okay, well I'm going to take this and blow the dust out of it, and we'll get the bottom cover off too. Have a look at that as well. Alright, so I got the screws out. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's some dust and dirt, no big deal. Okay. It's like a little stain here. I don't know if that's a water stain or a bad cap. There is a cap right above it, so that cap might be gone. Other than that, everything looks pretty untouched. Yeah, there's definitely a stain here. Some kind. bodges, fuse bank. This fuse is gone. What is this? No, the fuse is intact. I just hope I can fix this switch without it coming up. It looks terrible the way it's bent down like that. Alright, I don't know where to start. I guess, well yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is blow all the dust out of this thing. Look how filthy this is. There's spider webs and sawdust. Looks like it was stored out in somebody's garage for a while. So I'm going to get this blow the dust out of this thing, and then we can start on pots and switches. Although the pots, I never really tested the pots, but they didn't seem too bad. We're going to get them a cleaning anyway. And then evict the spiders. That's the first step. Alright, so some of the knobs pull right off, and then some of them have set screws. Like these two have set screws. I don't understand the reasoning behind that, but whatever. We'll take them off. And I think it's just a 1.5 millimeter Allen key. I'm not sure. But let's get these off. If I can find the set screw. It's buried in this knob somewhere. Wouldn't that be something if they put a different size on there for me? Oh, there it is. Okay. Fiddle with this. Can't find it. It's got paint or something on this to clean these knobs off. There we go. Nice quality knobs. Like these aren't the cheap with the plastic insert. These are full aluminum machined. Very nice. Very nice. That's what I like about H.H. Scott, is the quality they put into their equipment. So let's get the front panel off, and then we can have a good look at what's going on here. It's going to need a good clean. Pull this off. Glass is loose too. You have to re-glue that. Wow. Yeah, look at this thing. I'll have to re-glue all of this. Parts of it are falling apart. Well, this part of the problem is this yellow glue that they use. It just kind of deteriorates into crystalline mess. But yeah, we can fix all this up. This is minor stuff. So all these come off, and then they get glued back on. And I'll probably use a little bit of epoxy to rebond this back to the aluminum. Get rid of all this other glue, and just re-epoxy it, and then it'll never come apart again. After it's all cleaned, of course. Have a look at this convoluted dial cord they have here. Goes around here, up here, through here, down here, under the scale, back out this side, back around, down here, around the knob, back up. It's just a nightmare. I wouldn't want to restring this, that's for sure. Okay, I'll get busy on pots and switches. This power switch here, I don't know, it looks, I hope I can straighten it out. Let me show you in close up. See, this power switch is bent quite a bit, and I'm scared if I straighten it, it might snap. And I hope it doesn't. I'm trying and find, I'll have to be really careful when I straighten that out. It looks like it was stretched beyond its intended purpose. Oh yeah, the other ones are not bad. They're all good. Switches are okay. We just need a little bit of straightening up. Now you can see this stain here that I was talking about earlier. There's a circle there, you can see it. It's on the board. And this is a capacitor here, these two. And this pin here is completely corroded away from the printed circuit board. If I wiggle it, I don't know if you can see that, but if I wiggle it, you can see that pin moving. Let me take this cap out. It's causing kind of why is my iron turned off? I guess I'm trying to save the planet. Let that warm up. Yeah, it's just a weird. I don't see anything on the top side of the board at all with regards to the capacitor. I hope it's not a symptom of everything that's going to go on here. These capacitors are all, I think they're all Panasonics. I'm not sure, but they all look like the same brand, same age. I don't know what year this thing is. I don't see any date codes here. 9F1, 94. Maybe this is made in 1989. I'm not sure. $69.27. That can't be right. On those caps. 69 is way early for this thing. We are into the 70s, maybe even the 80s. I'm not sure. Well, no, it's not 80s. It's probably 70s. But yeah. Okay, let's pull this cap out. Yeah, it wasn't even connected. It was definitely corroded, but I really don't see much. There is some leakage on this side. What does the cap checker say? So this is a 220 at 16, and I have it at 184 microfarads, and my ESR is at 266 milliohms. It is probably within spec, but it's leaking, so that's a bad cap right there. It's leaking. And I'm wondering how many more of these I'm going to find that are leaking. And that is in the tuner circuit, I think. Okay. I really don't want to do a full recap. There's so many caps on this thing. There's like maybe 50. But if they're going bad and they're leaking, I don't have a choice. Okay. Let me keep poking around here. I got the switch out. I'm going to try and straighten this without breaking it. Wish me luck. Because this is not something I like doing, is putting stress on these. Okay. Just do a little bit at a time. It's getting better. Almost there. Getting a little nervous. Almost there. Actually, that might even be good enough. Let's see here. Where is this? Not too bad. A little bit more, actually. It's just a little bit out. Let's get it straight as we can. I can't even take the switch apart because it's riveted here. If I could take the switch apart, I could take the lever out and I would be able to heat it with a propane torch or something and then straighten it, but I think it's just a matter of going slow and being careful here. I just don't want to snap this off. Okay, I think we're there. I'm not going to take it any more than that because that's pretty straight. And I don't want to snap that. I already got you probably can't see it on the camera, I got a crack starting right here. If I look, it's getting stretched and it's going to get weak. Yeah, that's as good as it's going to get, I guess. Put that back in. Okay, so here's a look at the main filter caps. These are 6800 microfarad at 35 volts. And let's test them out and see how they look. And this one's reading 7300 microfarads, 22 milliohms, which is very good, I think. I'm not going to complain about that. Let's try the other one. This one's at 66, a little bit low compared to the other one, but it's still got 24 milliohms. So I think those two caps can stay in circuit for a while longer. I think they're still good. Okay, so just curiosity, I pulled the second cap out of the circuit, and yes, it has corrosion on the negative lead. So this cap is leaking. So it's looking like this receiver is going to get a full recap. I can't trust these old capacitors to continue working without taking a dump on the board and on the circuitry. They're all going to come out, like it or not. This is one of these situations where these are probably perfectly fine capacitors. If I measure this, this is a 220 at 16 volts. And if I measure it, it's measuring 224 microfarads, which is bang on, and 395 milliohms, which is actually a little touch high. It should be around 330 milliohms as a max, but you know, it's a little bit beyond that limit. But this cap is still working, and you know, I have to replace them all because you know, they're leaking. So I guess I'll get my caps out and start plucking away. There's quite a few on this board. There's 68 I counted. 68 plus 2 is 60. That's why I was kind of probably pretty close to my first estimate. But okay, I'll truck on with this. All right, so yesterday I went through the receiver and I did a full recap on all of it, and I pulled out all of the old caps. And usually what I do is when this is what I started doing lately, is I make up this sheet. It's just a cap list. And when I go through and look at a receiver I'm repairing or an amplifier or any piece of equipment, I'll go through and I'll write down all the caps that are in the unit, what value, what voltage, if they're regular electrolytics or audio grade, and I'll even include the main filter capacitors. I'll measure them up, make sure I got the right dimensions and values, and I make up a cap list. And this is useful if I ever wanted to put together per se a capacitor kit for sale. Then I have all the correct values and voltages, and I can assemble a kit if I needed to. But this also I write down all the values and the location, like C32, C57, and this is helpful when I go through and do the recap. And I can start at the top and work my way down, and I can, you know, leave no stone unturned type thing. So this is good, helps me out and keeps me from getting confused as to how far I'm done. So the reason I pulled out all the caps and replaced them was because I found a couple that were leaking. So after I was done, I separated the caps into two piles. These ones are not leaking visually. I looked at them. They're fine visually. These ones are leaking. So they have some corrosion on the wire or leakage. Pretty much all of them have corrosion. Well, they do have corrosion. And so this is 41% of the capacitors leaked. 60 or 58% didn't leak, so that's okay. But when I start checking ESR, things get a little different. I get a little different results. I went through and I ESR'd all these caps. Generally, all the caps held their values, their capacitance. They're all good that way. So if you run through them with a cap checker and you're looking at their capacitance, you're going to see 100% of these are good. It's when you start checking the ESR, things start going bad. Only 20% of these capacitors, not including this one checked good, but 20% of these capacitors checked okay with ESR. 80% failed to meet minimum ESR standard. So that's why they're all gone. And I think it's a good thing that I went in and redid them all, because of these that haven't leaked, I expect probably within a year or two they're probably a little more in this pile than this pile. And ESR is just going to go downhill from here. So yes, it does justify doing a full recap. But you also have to consider what's the end use of this receiver. Like, what is its intended purpose? Is it going to be a showpiece, or is it just going to be a daily driver? This isn't going to be a showpiece because it's not in that kind of condition. I just want it to sound good, and whoever listens to this, being myself or somebody else, I just want them to enjoy the sound that comes out of it. So that's why I do full recap. And yeah, it was a little bit expensive here in this case. We had over 60 caps, but I think it was worth it in the end. Okay, so capping is done. Next step, I have to work on the lighting. Excuse me. I got some warm white LEDs. I think this is the way I'm going to go. There are 4 bulbs on this receiver for lighting the front panel, 2 on each side of the scale, and then 2 for the meters. And I'll just put in 4 LEDs, 4 dropping resistors. I'll run these at about 5 milliamps each, and we'll light it up with this. All right, so I want to set up the DC bias on this amplifier. I've had it idling for maybe 10-20 minutes, and it is getting quite warm. But then I also have the heat sink extension removed, this thing here. So this probably draws away a lot of the heat. I removed it just so I could service to the board. But there's 2 points on each amplifier. I don't know, you can see them on the camera. I can zoom in maybe. I'll point them out to you. There is one here. My big hand's in the way. There's one here. It's behind the coil, and it's like a white ceramic post with a little curl on top. Here's another one. So those are your 2 test points, and then there's one here beside the resistor, and then one buried underneath here behind the coil. So you just clip your voltmeter to these 2 ends, and the manufacturer spec is 40 millivolts. So what do we have here? I got that connected now, and I'm reading 55. So I'm going to turn this down a bit, and I'll get this back in order. Oh. Very touchy pot. Okay, so I'm going to set this one to 40. Clean this pot a bit and give it some wiggle action. Okay. 40 there. Well, it's 38. And I'll let that soak and idle for a bit. Let's do the other channel. And here we got 40, bang on. No, is it 48? 48. So let's turn this one down a bit too. Okay, right there's 40, 39, close enough. They specify plus minus 25%. I just don't like it going too high, because then your amp, it overheats and you have less thermal cushion for when you're driving it hard. You don't want it to get too hot. So I'll let this balance for about 5 minutes, and then I'll recheck them, and we'll see how it's doing. Now, everything else has been done as far as the recap. I replaced the 4 lamps. There was 4 little tiny lamps. 3 of them were burned out. One of them was still working, but I replaced all 4 with warm white LEDs, and I think it looks pretty good. You can see that it's got a kind of a neutral color. And what's next is I did the switches and pots, clean those. They weren't really showing any signs of being dirty before, but I'd clean them anyway. And now it's just a matter of testing it, put it through its paces and seeing, just to see if there's any problems that still exist. I know we had that problem with the right channel that wouldn't work on the FM tuner, and our starter light wasn't working. So let's go through and test it one more time to see if those came back after the recap. And if not, then we'll have to do some troubleshooting. Alright, so we're going to have to do something with this front panel. The front of this looks pretty good. I was looking at it. It's pretty much intact, except for a bit of took a big hit here, and it's got quite a ding. But on the back side, what we're dealing with, I think it goes like this actually. I think we're dealing with adhesive that let go. All this brown adhesive is dried up and cracking, and it's not very good. So I'm going to remove all that. I'm just going to use a blade and just scrape off the excess, just like that. I'm not going to worry about cleaning this plastic off. I just want to get it cleaned down so it's flat and smooth. As far as this goes, they use double-sided sticky tape for adhering this glass, and I think I might do the same for when I replace it. But a lot of this other glue has to come off, and just take a blade and just scrape it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be. Don't worry about scratching the inside of the face. And just go through and clean everything. I'll give it a wipe down with alcohol before I put on stick on the other parts. And these things might as well come off too, because half of them are loose already. Here's another one that's loose. They're gonna fall off eventually, so you might as well take them off and redo them and re-glue them, because you're not going to get ahead by just leaving it there, and then 5 years from now it's all falling apart again. So just remove the adhesives. Now, as far as adhesives, I got a couple choices on what to do. I have a good idea what I'm going to use for the glass. See how easy that comes off? Just got to scrape it. Now, the glass is held in with double-sided sticky tape as well. And I think I'm going to recreate, I'm just going to cut strips of double-sided sticky tape and lay it out just like it is here. And this glass gets put onto this part. Oops, don't break the glass. I'll be cutting a new piece. This will get attached to the plastic bezel with double-sided sticky tape, just like it was originally. The bezel will get attached to the aluminum with either an epoxy, or I'll maybe use a silicone. I'm not sure, I haven't decided yet. The reason I don't want to use an epoxy on glass is because different expansion and contraction rates. I don't want this to break. Epoxy is pretty rigid stuff. Once it grips something, it doesn't want to let go. So I just got to make sure that there's a little bit of a room for expansion, contraction, and all that stuff. So I'm going to clean this all off, and we're going to get on with gluing. These things, these plastic little, I don't know what you'd call them. What do you call these? Grommets? Plastic little pieces. They'll get glued on with epoxy, and then they'll be there permanently. So they go upside down like that. So they have a little. No, they don't. Yeah, they go up like this. I'll glue those with epoxy. They'll stick on there. They'll never come off again. Alright, so I got the pieces cleaned of the old adhesive. What I want to do now is just want to give it a clean with some alcohol, just so that there's no residue. You always clean a surface with alcohol before you use another adhesive on it. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, that's clean. Let's clean this one as well. This one's going to get it. It's coming out pretty dirty. So this is where the glass sits. I cleaned the glass as well, but it's not. I haven't cleaned the glass. It's just took the adhesive off. So this is where the glass is going to sit, and I'm going to use double-sided sticky tape around the perimeter. I'm going to cut it about 6 mil wide, and that should stick down the glass without using any adhesives. The problem with adhesives is you put too much on in one spot and you put the glass down, it squishes out, and then you got adhesive squirting out from the side of your what is supposed to be a finished edge, but it's not. Okay, so let's mix up some epoxy here and get these set into place. I'm just using Quick Cure 5 System 3. Shown you this before in another video. It's a 5-minute quick curing epoxy. We're going to use a fair bit this time. I think that should be good. I need a stir stick, and I don't have a stir stick. Equal amounts, more or less. I hope that's equal. Now, like I said on the other video, this is a 5-minute epoxy. Doesn't mean it sets up in 5 minutes, but it gives you about a 5-minute working time, mixing and working. So you got to mix it quickly, get it to where you want it to be quickly, and then because it's going to start setting up and it's going to lose its like right now it's very flowing, like kind of like honey, but then it starts to get stiffer and stiffer. Just trying to get this. Okay, I think it's good. Now we want to put these in the correct way, like that, I believe. Yes. That should be enough. Trick is you don't want to get too much on there. Give it an even coat. Okay, as long as they're straight. Have a look at the other side. Everything looks good. There's no spillage through there. That's good. That's what we want. Let's do these few. Those ones are good. Do the last one. All right, so those are all in. So now we need to step it up and do this. How are we going to do this? I think this fits in like so. So let's put some on here. Doesn't want to spread. Might not have mixed enough. I got way too much on there now. It's starting to get stiff. I got to work a little faster here. Starting to set up. Anyways, I think that's going to be good. I got too much here. Take some off and move it over here. Okay, that's going to have to do. Let's put this together. Should be good. I'll let that set up and then we'll work on the glass. Alright, so I got a few minutes here while I wait for the epoxy to harden. I might as well just do a power test. Seems to be everything's working now. We have both our channels back. So I'm just going to do a quick bench test here and see what we got. So I got B speakers. I have the B speaker output. I have the speakers hooked up. You can see we got both channels working. Still have noise on the phono stage on the left channel. That's the left channel. That's the right channel. Got a little bit of hum there, but there's something going on the left channel. Still have to investigate. But let's go back to our tone and switch off the speakers. Turn on dummy load and see what we can do here. So I get this here a little bit better. Okay, right there's clipping. And we got 15.2 volts RMS on the output. If I bump it up to clipping, it jumps to 16.8 volts. But I can't get in between those two because this volume has detents on it. It's either that or that. So that's the way it is. But we got a nice clean signal. Treble. Looks good. Bass, a little bit of phase shift on the right channel. Could be both channels for all we know because it's triggered on the left. Interesting. I think that's a tape monitor. I'm not going to leave this on too long because I do not have the extra heatsink added, and I think we're a little bit hot here on the heat sinking right now because this was not in place. But so far it's working good. Still have to investigate the phono noise. Let's try this again. I'm wondering. I'll have to investigate why that's making that noise in the left channel only. Let's pull that off and turn this up. Silent. Everything's working good except for that phono stage. Let's feed a signal into the phono stage and see what it does. Turn this down. Okay. Now we got an oscillation on that left channel on the phono. So it might have been something I screwed up. Let's have a look at the waveform. Yeah, there's something going on here. It's oscillating. That's what it looks like. Okay. Might have been something I did when I screwed up the, put in the caps. Might have screwed something up. Alright, so let's look at the phono stage then. Okay, so I found my screw up. There's a little solder bridge here. It's barely visible you can't even see it with your naked eye. I had to find it with the magnifying glass, but there, now it's fixed. But yeah, it's because it's a difficult spot to solder in there, and I screwed up, so there it is. So it's the next day. I let this set up overnight, this adhesive, well, the epoxy, and it's holding these in well. Everything's in place. So now we need to attach the glass. What else? So I cleaned the inside groove here. The glass fits inside that little boundary that the plastic makes, and it's comes up tight against this side. This side is open, so we can slide it, and there are recesses here for this thing. This thing is a piece of metal that cradles the bottom of the glass. I don't understand its purpose, but we're going to put it back. So we don't need to cover those recesses with tape, sticky tape. So we're going to put double-sided sticky tape around the perimeter on the inside, and then we're going to stick the glass. This glass is what is it again? 380 millimeters by 63 millimeters, 3 mil thick. In case you ever break one, you just get another piece cut. All right, so let's try this on camera. Double-sided tape here. What I want to do is I want to line up the tape with the inside edge of the bezel. So let's just put this here, line it up. Okay, sorry for the interruption there. Okay, so I got this set on the inside. You can't see it from the outside, so let's cut this short here. Take this off. Okay. Now I want to get this to the proper width, so I'll just cut on the inside. And this piece can come away. And we'll use it on the sides and the bottom. Just like this. Actually, I'm going to cut these. Keep these open. The main thing is you don't want any of this showing from the front when you're looking in. You don't want to see bits of tape or glue or any adhesives or anything like that. It's just want it to be clean. You want the glass spotless. Not so much that it matters because you can clean it from the outside, but when you clean it around the edge, you sure notice there's a clean edge there, and it's just dirt that's been pushed in there by cleaning. The back is still dirty, but we'll just go with this for now. It's clean. Clean as it's going to get. And I'll just put this aside for now, and let's peel this off. Peel off all our tapes. I made sure these were pushed down with my finger before I pull the tape off. Just make sure it's bonded good to the bezel. That one's not sticking good. Try this from this side. Here we go. And keep your grubby fingers off the tape once you peel it off, because you're just going to reduce its bond strength. Oops, get my hand off that. Okay. And you only got one chance at this, so get this corner lined up. And we're on. You can kind of see where it's bonding with the glass. If you look, you see the reflection of the adhesive. Just want to press it down good all the way around. Now, if you're kind of worried that it might pop out again, you could take some silicone adhesive and maybe run a bead along the outside and hold the glass in place, maybe along the top in a few spots. You don't want it showing through. And the problem with using silicone is that you get it all over your fingers and it's a sticky mess. But this is good. I think this will be perfect. So I'll clean up the rest of the glass and we can put this back on. So I just noticed there's some damage to this glass. It's got a couple of pits. Well, you won't be able to see these on the camera. They're tiny little spots. And you know, when you're welding, let's say, I don't know if any of you have ever done welding before, but when you weld and you get the shower sparks that fly everywhere, sometimes when they hit glass, they melt the glass and they embed themselves as little hot pieces of iron or steel or whatever. And that's exactly what this looks like. It's got a couple little pits there, pit there. So I really think this thing sat in a garage for a while, and maybe it was somebody's garage stereo, but yeah, it's really not that noticeable from you know, probably 2 feet away. I don't know if you can see that on the glass, can you? If I put this behind it, you can see that. It's right here. There's 2 there, there's 1 there. But anyways, it is what it is. I'm happy with the, I still got a smear here that I can't figure out what that, I think that's a scuff. alcohol won't touch it, and I might have to get some. I gotta be very careful because this silk screening right here, I don't want to damage that printing. And there's some more here. It looks like maybe it's paint. Somebody spilt paint on it and tried wiping it off. That's what it kind of looks like to me. But the rest of it came out pretty good. Okay, let's put this back together. Enough talk, eh? Okay, so this is clean. Word on cleaning, get it as clean as you can get it. What I do is I take foaming glass cleaner and paper towel, clean it initially, clean both sides or one side, whatever. I'll throw that paper towel aside. I'll get a fresh one and clean it a second time with a clean paper towel, and that seems to reduce a lot of the contaminations and stuff. But you'll still get streaks and stuff even if you clean it twice with glass cleaner. So take a lint-free cloth or something and buff it, give it a polish, and you'll take all those streaks off. And the other big killer here is the dust. So when you clean it all and you get a little lint and dust, blow all that away, blow it all away from the inside here, and when you put it together it'll look good, because it has to look good as well as sound good, right? That's what we're aiming for. We're looking for a nice, there we go. Just want to see how that looks. I'm going to turn it on and see how it looks just before because it's the problem with these backlit stereo receivers is as soon as you turn the lights on, then you see all those fingerprints and smudges and smears. But no, this looks pretty good. I think we got it. Alright, so I'll put this all back together, and then what else? Oh, the phono stage, I fixed the phono stage. I haven't tested it though. I'm still not sure about the FM. Seems like it's really weak on picking up stations, so I'm going to take a look at the FM. Maybe I'll have a look at tweaking some of these adjustments. Doesn't look like it has an IF strip like a normal FM radio would, but let me look at it a little more carefully. I cleaned up the top edge here. I filed it down and buffed it, and it's a lot nicer, smoother. We still have a big ding here, but it's better than what it was. It's not cutting your hand like it was before. So just before I close up here, I want to show what I did with the LEDs. There's a fuse block here. This top fuse is a mains fuse for the primary. It's what is that? 2.5 amps. And then there's two fuses on the bottom here. This is for your positive negative rails. They fuse both legs of the transformer winding. The yellow winding is for the power amplifier. The blue winding is for auxiliary lamps, and I believe they also derive a B+ supply for some of the circuitry. So the blue wire from the transformer is grounded here on this pin here. That's grounded, and then the other leg goes through the fuse, and then this gray wire goes off to the regulator. And what I did is I just added a diode, a single half-wave rectified diode. If I can get some better light on this. There. Simple diode goes. I mounted a terminal strip here. It's grounded, and it's got a 100 microfarad cap, and that provides the smoothing for the LEDs. And then all the LEDs tie into this. As the red's positive, the white is negative, and the negatives have the dropping resistors. There's 4 2.7K dropping resistors, and yeah, that's all there is to it. And everything's here. All right, so I'll put the bottom on and wrap this one up. Okay, I got another problem here that just I was just doing a final test, and another problem. We're getting a stereo signal, but the light is not coming on. There's something with this LED that is not. See, now it's. I think I got a bad LED here. if I play with it, I can get it to work. But if I pull on the leads any, and it's not a cracked solder joint or anything, the solder looks good. Like, but maybe the LED's bad. I don't know. But you can see that it's working, and then it doesn't work. So I'll think. Yeah, let's turn off the light. Maybe you can see it better. I don't know what's going on with that. I'll try resoldering it, but I don't think that's the problem. I think I got to change that bulb, or that LED. Yeah, I resoldered the back of this diode, and it's definitely bad. I'll show you. I can just wiggling the LED from side to side, I can get it to turn on and turn off. There's definitely something wrong with that. And it's not wiring. So I'm just going to change it. I got another one here, another rectangular one. It is not exactly the same dimension. I'm going to see if it fits in the hole though. If it does, we can use it without modifying it. And let's see here. It does. It does fit. Okay, so I'll get this changed, and hopefully that's the last of this. All right, so phono is back to normal. I don't have any weird noises and any oscillations because I fixed that solder bridge. Auxiliary is totally silent. FM mute, FM. Let's go through the band. I'm taking back my earlier comment that the tuner was weak. I think the tuner is working good. We're getting like full deflection on the scale here. It's just a matter of getting the antenna connection hooked up, and it seems to be pulling in good stations. So let's try it. It's on FM. Even the weak stations is pulling in stereo. I'm getting a lot of meter deflection between the stations. It's like about 1.5 here now. What happened there? There's supposed to be stations in here. What happened to them? Wow.
Single mom, she bought us that.
You know, they really should have.
I don't know if a tune-up would do any much better for this. It's pulling in stations pretty good. This is the strong one. It's pegged at 5. And that's it. Try AM. I remember on my other H.H. Scott, the 316, it really good AM reception. Really sensitive and very selective. So I just want to see how this one works. So the back antenna is picking up all kinds of noise. Shut that off.
Waiting in
debating the bulls and bears of sport business. The Dave Ramsey Show on AM 930.
Supporting local businesses this past.
It's doing pretty good.
And basically problem solve together.
I'm not getting any. I'm not getting any DX, but then I'm also getting a lot of interference, a hell of a lot of interference. So I'm happy with it. It's working good. It is. It's a nice receiver. I like these Scots. So I'm going to wrap it up there. That's all I'm going to do to it. I'm going to put this on my desk, test drive it obviously. I'm interested in hearing how it sounds with some critical listening. So yeah, thanks for tuning in and watching me bring back this old stereo again. Thanks again. Take care.